Okay. Now, listen closely, Rose, her mother said, once again maintaining her serious composure at the time. The way that the Okar work is much different than the way that we of the Sky Ray work. Our bodies are different, and it's highly likely that you've inherited your father's abilities to grow stronger, not just in the use of your thorns or your toxin, but in other ways as well. There are also your vines, but it appears that they have been clustered in along with your flower, so they will most likely not emerge until after you have finished blooming, at which point they will become a part of your flower. So, I can't instruct you as to how to use them yet. But, according to your father, instruction won't be an issue. The vines are extensions of you and your will, and just like your petals, they will abide that will, react on instinct, without any necessity for training or practice. The only measure that is to question is whether or not your thorns will be a part of your vines, and whether or not any of your thorns can act as projectiles, which is far from uncommon within the Okar. The ability to fire poisonous barbs has long since been one of their abilities, but your father did not have any barbs to fire at range. All of his thorns were for close-range combat. But his mother could fire barbs, so it's highly likely that the ability might pass to you as well. But we shall put that aside until such time as it becomes relevant. Right now, you need to know of, well, the most dangerous ability of the Okar, the transition of nutrition into strength. You have become very accustomed to eating, as any person does. But the Okar are different. They have the ability to push past pure appetite. Normally, when most living beings eat a certain amount of food, they become full and can no longer go beyond that point. It is unnecessary for their bodies. But the Okar are not every other race. The Okar becoming full is simply a sign that they've reached the optimal level of nutritional intake. But the Okar can simply choose to ignore this. If someone born of the Okar is sated, if their appetite is filled, and they choose to continue eating, then the nutrition that they intake, rather than being converted into simple sustenance that maintains their body, is converted into a highly densified form of nutrition, which they can utilize. This extremely dense form of nutrition allows them to dramatically amplify the functions of their body, meaning they can use it to become many times stronger than they are. The more of this substance that they create within themselves, the greater the amplification effect that they can force. This has an effect on basically everything. Your strength, your speed, your stamina. Even your barbs and vines will be affected, growing stronger, more dangerous. Even your perceptions, your ability to see, smell, hear, all of these things become dramatically amplified the more of this substance that you use. Now, herein lies the part that I will need to instruct you in. But it's not going to be something that we can do right now. First, you will have to build up a supply. What? Rose replied, unsure of what her mother was implying. What do you mean, build up a supply? How do I do that? It's simple, Rose. You eat. You eat until you are full. And then, once you are full, you just keep eating. The more you eat past the limit of your own hunger, the more that nutrition will be transferred into the substance that your body produces. That allows you to yield that nutrition into power boosts, making you stronger, faster, sharper, for a short time. This is the greatest asset to the Okar, and why Okar eat, absolutely absurd amounts of food. When an Okar eats, usually once or twice per day, they do not simply ingest the amount that is necessary to appease their hunger. No, the Okar usually double down, eating no less than twice what it would take to actually satisfy them. One half feeds the nutrition that they require, but the other half is obviously converted into the substance that they use to increase their physical strength. This substance is stored within their body, much like the toxin that you produce. And there is a process for how to utilize this substance. But in order to teach it to you, you must first have it at your disposal. So, for the next part of your training, I'm going to need you to eat, Rose. Well, I guess I could do that, but I'm not really that hungry. I mean, I'm a little peckish, but I don't think I'd be able to eat, especially something like I did last night. You must stop thinking like a human, Rose, her mother replied. You are Okar, as well as Sky Ray. The Okar within you has no limitations as far as appetite goes. You, unlike most other beings, could eat for the sheer joy of eating, with almost no limitations on how much. I have never known an Okar to reach a limit where they could no longer devour what they wished. So, it is highly likely that the same is true with you. So, we're going to go back to the cabin, and then I want you to eat, Rose. I want you to eat as much as we have. You said you cleared out the kitchen last night. Well, there's still a pantry and a freezer. We will most likely be doing away with them. By the time we're done, there won't be anything left. You're going to eat all of it, Rose. Mom, Rose replied, I don't want to eat all that food. I didn't even want to eat all the food we ate last night. I just couldn't stop myself, Rose said, looking down at the ground as if she felt ashamed. This is not a matter of want, Rose. You need to understand how your abilities work and to be able to use them, control them. The only way to build up the protein compound that the Okar use to empower themselves is to eat vast quantities of food. That way you can create a supply. And you must have a supply in order for me to teach you how to utilize it. Besides, you will most likely be feeling a great deal more hunger much faster than you realize. This might allow us to bypass the moment when you feel as if you don't have any control. But however we handle this, you must learn to use this ability before you, emerge as an Okar and enter the hunter's will. Once that happens, you will be compelled to hunt beyond your own control. I won't be able to stop you, Rose. No one will. You will remain in that state until your desire to hunt has been satisfied. And not only that, but you will still be conscious and aware. It is not as if you turn into a savage animal with no thought or reason. No, you are perfectly yourself. You simply possess an overwhelming desire to hunt that overrides all other things. You will let nothing stop you once this occurs. You may recognize me as your mother, But if I were to attempt to try to stop you or stand in your way, then you would simply regard me not only as your mother, but as an obstacle to your will. You would even fight me if that's what it took. You might not kill me, but that doesn't mean you're going to let me stand in your way. The desire to hunt will be too great. And once that happens, you will do so, whether you know how to use your abilities or not. Your amount of knowledge and experience will not increase. You will have the basic instincts that it requires to hunt, and do so well. But, Rose, your ability to use your abilities will not change from what you already know. You won't magically be able to use abilities that you don't understand or haven't been practiced in. This is why I'm teaching you to use your thorns, your toxin. And now, I need to teach you how to use the protein compound that the Okar produce. All of these things are necessary, as I will not be able to train you in the use of your vines, which are an exceptionally powerful tool of the Okar. I need to ensure that you have every advantage once that happens. The less you know about yourself, the greater the danger for you will be. Who knows what animals that you might find out there in the woods? Bears, wolves, deer, and countless other things. There could be mountain lions. We don't even know what part of the world we're in. For all we know, there could be tigers out there. But in your hunter's will state, it will not matter. Anything you set your eyes upon will be your prey, and you will challenge it, hunt it, entrap it, do whatever you can and whatever you must in order to satisfy your hunger, your will to hunt. So, Rose, put quite simply, this is not an option. Everything that I do not teach you about your abilities will only strip you of the strength that you require. It is very possible for one in this state to die, Rose. You are not invincible should you come into conflict with a predator. They are entirely capable of killing you, just as you're capable of killing them. It will come down to the weapons at your disposal, and I have no intention of sending my daughter out there without every asset that I can.